this will be the gospel for this coming Sunday, so I'll get more of a chance to talk about it then. So I'm not going to get too much in depth. Just want to touch on a couple of different things in this gospel. One, that for some reason, Jesus lets the disciples go off on their own. He goes up the mountain to pray, and there they are for a long time, fighting the wind and the waves. And a lot of times in our lives, we can be struggling and saying, God, where are you? When are you going to come? And I think about, like, for instance, with the resurrection of Lazarus, he went after he had died, even though he was sick before. Or about the man who was born blind. Why was this man born blind? Because of his sin or his parents' sin? Neither, but to show the glory of God. Maybe it was he let them go through this trial in order for Peter to actually show the incredible faith of being able to step out onto the waves and walk on the water. But we know that in our lives, even in those times when it seems like, God, I've been crying out to you, where are you? He's saying, my timing is perfect and I have a reason. Trust me. Second thing I just want to point out is at once Jesus spoke to them saying to them, take courage, it is I. And that it is I is ego eimi in Greek, and you're saying, oh, why didn't you say that before? Right. But that basically is I am. It's the divine name. Take courage, I am. It's interesting, one of the popes, they sat for a portrait painting, and the portrait painting was done so poorly, it wasn't very recognizable. And the artist asked him to autograph it, and so he put into the Greek, do not be afraid, it is I. But we look and we say, this is Jesus showing his divinity. Take courage, I am. And we know this because as soon as he got in the boat, the winds died down. And who has authority over the wind and the sea but Almighty God? And the last thing I want to point out from this gospel is that people brought to him all those who were sick and begged him that they might touch only the tassel on his cloak. And as many as touched it were healed. Why would they think to touch the tassel on his cloak? But because of that woman earlier who'd reached out in faith and was healed by just touching the tassel on his cloak. We think about how our acts of faith can then affect the people around us. That by us trusting in Jesus, other people can trust in Jesus. So we ask the Lord just to open our hearts to what he's speaking in this gospel. You can pray through this gospel all week, since we're going to be having it again on Sunday, and you can prepare for that. But just to allow God to speak to us and say, what is it that you're doing? How are you calling me to trust you, to trust that you're God, to trust in your timing, and maybe even, like Peter, to jump out of the boat?